Vielen herzlichen Dank, Herr.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the European Parliament, Commissioner Oettinger, representative of the Council Presidency. Given that we're heading the end of the Parliament, and this is going to be the last opportunity for us from the Court of Auditors to take the floor in the plenary, I'd like to thank all partners of the Budgetary Control Committee, the Court of Auditors, Inge Gressler, rapporteurs, Commissioner Oettinger and his offices, as well as the Council Presidency and their working groups, for the great cooperation throughout the Parliament, and particularly regarding this discharge. Your control opportunities need to always be as visible as what you do as MEPs, and that's essential. It's very important for all of our citizens. It's particularly important for our citizens that EU law is correctly implemented and that European taxpayers' money is correctly spent. The discharge decision to be adopted straight after this talk is never going to be a blank check, but it's to do with a period of cooperation that stretches over quite a long period of time. And according to the treaties, the Commission must do its utmost to make sure that the Parliament and the Council's decisions are properly reflected in what it does. And we've seen in the report and the special report for 2017 what's happened here. As in 2016, it's not a failure in terms of what we've said regarding the implementation of the budget, but we would like to see the glass being half empty and not half full and not half empty in terms of cooperation between different institutions of the EU's and financial management thereof. So I would like to talk in greater depth about 4 points here. In terms of our auditing activities, I would like to thank members of the European Parliament for taking up the recommendations of our special report and being quite positive about them. This is the best way of playing a role in shaping the political programs and improving them within the EU. I'd also like to stress that members of the Court of Auditors and our staff are here for you and your committees, given that we've drawn up the reports. If you need additional information or explanations, then we're very happy to provide them to aid your work as parliamentarians. Secondly, regarding the RALs, the uncommitted appropriations, we do share the concerns of the Parliament. Last October, when we came, we promised that we would deal with this issue. So I'm very happy that we have concluded our analysis on this, and that the basis of the record amounts of €276 has been shed light on. Ms. Turtleboom from the Council has looked at this analysis from the Budgetary Committee and the Cont Committee, and will be presenting that on the 2nd of April. Regarding calls upon the Commissions to provide methodology of the error methodology that's on par with the Court of Auditors, we're looking at coming to an agreement there. Just to repeat to you that we fully agree with you there. Regardless of our independency, we are in close cooperation with the individual Commission services to check and see to what extent this kind of error could have happened. And this is something we'll be able to talk about at a later point, but at this point I can say to you and your team that we're very grateful for the positive contact that we've had on this one. And we're looking to make progress over the forthcoming weeks and months, and that is in the interest of both parties. I'd like to take the opportunity to go into a couple of points that the Council have dealt with in their recommendations. Obviously, we want to have as best possible a flow of information, particularly where it's most important, and we need to make sure that the costs involved are appropriate. The way that things are at the moment, we needed about half of our resources for the annual report, and the closer we get to the threshold of materiality, the more effort it takes, and to carry out the calculations regarding the error rate. We've improved our quota over the last few years in terms of the high risk area. At the same time, we need to have the right circumstances whereby detailed information that's already been presented to other auditors can be confirmed. At the moment, we're doing our utmost to make sure that this information is of appropriate quality. One example is for 2017, where there's a new approach regarding cohesion. What was important here and what was new is that auditing and controls have been carried out, which were previously carried out only for expenditure, and this is something that we took into account with our assessment of the situation. With this new approach, we want to make sure that you in the Parliament have the right information so that you can see how EU appropriations are dealt with, and to make sure that management is increased as a result of what your rapporteurs say. And in terms of the best outcome for the whole of the EU, this is what's very important for us here. This is an approach that we want to roll out to all areas of the EU budget where it can be implemented in a cost-efficient, reliable way. Fourth and finally, regarding cooperation with the ECB that has delivered an opinion here. In terms of access to ECB documents, which is something that we need for our auditing activities, the atmosphere there has improved. The ECB really wants to work on interinstitutional dialogue and drawing up a memorandum of understanding regarding, and this is to do with a document sent a year ago. We've had great cooperation with you here in the European Parliament. We're very grateful for that. We want to speed up the process so that it's finalised by the summer at the latest. I would call upon you to take the opportunity to follow this up, if necessary during the next Parliament, to take legislative action if the dialogue with the ECB is not improved within a reasonable time, so that banking surveillance can be carried out properly according to the mandate. And finally, looking at the European elections campaign for 27 member states, it's just around the corner, and it's perhaps the most important election ever of its kind. I would like to call upon all members of the MEP, all members of the European Parliament, and say that it's very important for information to flow our way so that we can properly assess the situation. And in February this year, we came out with a short appreciation of the situation where we looked at the forthcoming MFF and the programmes linked to it. The Court of Auditors also has looked back over the years in its annual report and the special reports. We've looked at the sticking points and we've looked at the many successes where the procedure has run smoothly. As auditors, the main thing isn't to complain or to shout. We want to play a constructive role in improving the situation where we see it is necessary. Thank you very much for listening.